I'm just being honest, connecting with the black experience. It's your guy, the most disliked popular guy, Barry Axius, with the queen, the goddess, the warrior, the essence of black love, black beauty, black nature, black sophistication. Mama Ro. Yeah, you gotta go. I'm trying to get you one time on a repeat with one of your outfits. You ain't did it to me yet, so maybe you done put one over on me, but I ain't seen it yet. How you doing, sister?
I'm doing good. Fiddly melon, as they say in the deep south. Fiddly melon.
You know what I'm saying? Quarantining. Was you a part of the whole Erykah Badu, Jill Scott vibe? Is that?
I didn't watch I watched part of it, and what I loved is just seeing them battle it out, but with positivity and love, and because sometimes we see black women battling out and be on some bullshit, like just hatery. But this was like both of them is queens and goddesses in their own right. So Jill is from Philly. I'm from Philly.
Yeah,
but
so
I like
yeah,
big up, too. You know what I mean? I like her too. So.
Was it Badu's from what, Dallas, Texas?
Yeah, she's from Texas. I know that. I think she is from either Houston or Dallas. I can't remember. But it was like, that's beautiful. Like, they both light up our lives. Like, Shit.
So you was excited about it?
I loved it. I absolutely. And this also was the highest, I guess, the highest in numbers so far with that was them two.
Okay.
So I was like, that's the power of who we are. I ain't really shocked.
Yeah. Especially that team, right?
Yeah. So
were you able to sing a lot of the hits that Jill and Erykah was doing? I think Erykah got more hits than Jill, but Jill's kind of that underground warrior.
Yeah, I don't, you know what? I didn't really look at that. And it probably, Erykah Badu. She's Badu. She doing what she do. But I did see like a link where Lizzo was saying but they said she didn't say it. I mean, people, that why she don't get the same love that Jill Scott getting. I just thought, quit with the comparison. That's kindergarten shit. Like I'm not even into Lizzo. She's probably a great artist. I'm just not into that. But I mean, Jill Scott paid some dues. She's not an instant internet person. She worked at her craft, like for real. Hell, she even had to lose weight for herself. Like she's really on a journey. So quit trying to equate yourself with other people. Just do you, boo.
No doubt. I mean, Erykah Badu and Jill Scott say first albums, classic soundtrack music for my life. And then other things were sporadic for me, but I just remember them first two albums that both them women came out with, queen shit. But to me, and the only negative I have to say about the whole thing, the only negative, I don't want to burn anybody's incense too rough, right? The only thing it escapes me and it behooves me how we go from like tragedy, right, and being up in arms with tragedy, niggas want to jog like 3 miles to turn around and be like forgetting about the whole thing. And I'm not saying that we've forgotten, but it almost seemed like it was like, all right, Jill Scott and Erykah, the next thing to me is just like, wait a minute, I guess that's just what we do. But it's profound in how we can kind of navigate from thing to thing. And it's good to do that, but I don't think we ever solve or accomplish the things that we need to accomplish in moving us forward. It just almost seemed like we were in mourning, and then just as fast as we were in mourning, we was vibing like nothing had happened a few days ago. I just, for me, that just kind of speaks volumes to, I think, our attention and our attention deficit, meaning that when are we going to finally, really start making strides and moves that's going to get us out of this situation that we currently in? As folks see, we don't have any guests today. They'll be back next week. We're still going to be talking about the Black pandemic. Are we in a state of emergency? But I wanted to come down and break down with my sister because so many things have been happening just with Black homicide in our own communities, and of course with the white henchmen as well as the white supremacist vigilantes doing the things that they've done. And I think that I just wanted to kind of focus a little bit with my sis and really just trying to get into this conversation, because it seems like we're repeating and we're back again at the same kind of thing in the same kind of place that we've been. Don't know what the hell's going on, but I do know in this last month, we've had Ahmaud Berry, we've had Breonna Taylor, we had Sean Reed, and these are just kind of like the all-star cast of many others that have kind of died by the hands of either supremacists, police, or even ourselves. These three in particular, one died by white vigilantes and the other two died by the henchmen. And it almost seems as if, and I know you have a few folks, a few sisters that you know that you've been following stories that they've died with domestic violence. It just almost seems like in this pandemic, in this quarantining, we can't catch a break. We're not giving each other a break and we can't catch a break. What you say, sister?
Well, I say very, oh God, this is so. Along with the police, I think I'm gonna leave the police stuff to the other black folks, because I think that black people if we have an addiction to white people, they tell us if we're valuable, if we're in the right places, if we're human, if we're not human, if we're, I just think black people have an addiction to white people. We measure everything about our value in comparison to them, even when you're killed. We've had 288 black women murdered at the hands of black men, and it's crickets.
Is it just this year?
Since January 2020. And about over 120 of them been since the pandemic began. And so I just have this strange feeling that black folks get very embarrassed at looking at people that they have birthed or that's in their life. We have this strange way of protecting black men at the hands of black women's lives. And that's why it's like we have good police, we have bad police. I'm not one of those people who think we don't need police. We absolutely need police, because if those 288 black women had called the police and the police had came and killed their mate, I wouldn't have shit to say. Because now we got 288 black women who were killed at the hands of black men and nobody's saying nothing. Even so, some of us are so ignorant, we think there's no connection between black men killing black women and black men killing each other and the police killing us. Like that's apples and oranges. No, it isn't. It's called death, bloody death. And so the fact that we dress it up and romanticize it, and we have court gestures like comedians trying to tell other people what they should and shouldn't do, and all they do is make money off of our defects and how messed up we are as black people. But then they want to come and have a moral say. Really? That's crazy. And I'm saying we know that it is not all black men that are killing black women, just like there's not all police officers killing black people. See, my thing is that it's like we either all the way over to the left and don't want to look at the right, or be in the middle. We just can't, I mean, I'm gonna even take it off of the black man, because I know that's kind of heavy. I mean, there were black women who were killed by the police. No outcry like that. No outcry. How many black women dying will you equate to one black man being murdered? Like, how many black women need to be murdered before they equal to one black man being murdered? And that says something about our community, how we feel. We just had Mother's Day. People wooing over their mamas. Happy Mama Day. We treat women like crap. Like,
I don't celebrate that shit. I mean, I don't celebrate the shit because of the European ideology. But everything that you say,
I celebrate your mama every day.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying, I mean, it speaks truth to power. I just think that I get tired of all of the say what, the hashtagging, the symbolic nature of everything. I mean, niggas are hashtags, and then we do a symbolic gesture, whether it's wearing a hoodie, whether it's jogging, whether it's getting Skittles, whether it's holding, cell phones up as if this looks like a gun, whether it's protesting and marching. We've constantly done the same thing to have the same results. And the same result is black, white, whatever you want to say about the friction, it's black people taking the brunt of what is actually happening, whether it's a black woman or a black man. And it's very obvious that for whatever dictation, we have black men always being put on a forefront. And I think that's by design to create this fear factor for black men to not step out of line, right? The core of the black family, by nature, the strongest part of that leg isn't the man, it's the woman, right? But in reality, physically, we are considered to be that rock, right? In nature, if the man is ready to start riding, the woman's already ready to go, we gonna really have a revolution like no other. But as we see, I think the way they strategize by putting the black man as, here is this victim who got lynched, who got murdered by whether henchmen or vigilantes, it almost kind of subdues the next part of what we should do. And I say that by, there ain't no Negroes that's going to go out and shoot back. They're Negroes that are going to be retreating and try to figure out a way of how they won't be the next hashtag. Whereas with the sisters, I don't think that it gets that much volume because they believe that, all right, you know what, without the man, the sister's not going to be able to move and operate. Even though we have sisters at the forefront of almost all of the murders of black men by police or whatever. So the reality for me is, here we have like these 3 high-profile cases, right? Now let's go to the Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor happened March 13th. And we're just now really finding out about the Breonna Taylor story now in May. That speaks volumes. And her situation, it was the Louisville police, SWAT, whatever. They came to do a drug bust or whatever. They came in. She was sleeping. They came through busting with guns. They didn't announce themselves. Her boyfriend shot, because what he's thinking is, you know, motherfuckers is breaking in or whatever, shot at the police. He's got charged for attempted murder, but they never ever identified them as police. What and who they were looking for was allegedly Breonna's ex-boyfriend for some drug violation. My thing is, for a drug violation, we're not going in for a murder, you know what I'm saying, suspect. You're going for drugs. Why do you have this heavy artillery going in trying to take somebody down, right? So if you're doing it in a way that's constructive, nobody dies. But if you do it in a way of recklessness, all hell breaks loose. There was a 5-year-old that didn't get killed, but this woman, 26-year-old, EMT graduate, worked with EMT in Louisville, she ends up being dead. And the cold part about it, until the other murder happened with Ahmaud, it didn't take any precedence until then. It's like, okay, let's start bringing out all the murders that have happened. So for me, I'm tired, because here we are relatively in these positions where we don't identify that laws have to change all across the board. Fighting this thing head on, the one thing I've understood, it ain't about the police officers. It's not about training. It's not about getting a whole bunch of black police officers. It's not about diversity. It's about law. The Bill of Rights for police protect police to such an angle where it's almost like, well, so what can these police officers go to jail for doing wrong? Because these police Bill of Rights is a thing that protects them. And I think that what we don't figure out, that when we continually try to battle a system, the only way you take down a system, especially a system dedicated to oppressing people like ourselves, is through the law system. And not in the sense of let's take them to court and let's get justice that way. The laws that connected and the laws that protect them. Because all of these things, when you look down the line of these murders, because they are murders, everything that happens will be protected by a law. Even when you go into Georgia, right? The way they're now mirroring this situation with Ahmaud. 1 minute, we're horrified. He's a jogger. Oh my God, did you see the lynching? Did you see the video? Next minute, oh my God, why is Ahmaud over at this construction site? Right? So now you're like, well, I know it was a lynching. For others, And this is what the mistake I feel a lot of Negroes do. We start trying to design because we want to have our opinion put out there. Well, who jogs with khakis? Well, why was he in a construction site anyway? This is not white folks. This is black people questioning a murder of an innocent black man, regardless of what he was doing. I don't give a damn if he was stealing something. No one is supposed to be lynched. And then in this case of Sean Reed, the young man who was recording himself on Facebook being chased by the police, I don't know what happened beforehand, but it's very sketchy with details. We're hearing that he could have shot at the police. We're hearing he had a gun. But what I do know, the motherfucker got killed and got shot. So you have all these conflicting stories. You have the media painting a narrative, but you still have black people not knowing how do we attack the system in a way that true change can happen. Because these things that are happening right now, I mean, I've seen like about from brutality to murder, I've seen about at least 20 episodes of either brutality, murder. We're not even talking about the murder that happened in San Leandro in Walmart of a police officer shooting a black man who was mentally ill, who had a baseball bat, that let go of his baseball bat. They said they was giving him, they used their taser. It didn't work. And then they shot him dead in the middle of a Walmart, right? We're not even talking about that. I just see that this is a trend that I saw in 2014 going on to 2017, where it seemed like every other day you have a different person ending up being a hashtag. And I don't think that for us, especially in this pandemic, stressed out enough about other things, that we continuously see this genocide. Because to me, I know a lot of people like to argue that there's a war going on. The reason why I say it's not a war going on, because in a war, motherfuckers, there's casualties on the other side. And there ain't no casualties on the other side. There is absolutely no casualties on the other side. So I look at it as a genocide overall of what's happening. So I pray for the victims, but then again, we also have to look at our own dirt work. And no one's talking about the black male that was just doing his job at a Family Dollar store that got shot by some black folks because he's telling them to put a mask on. So we're not talking
about black man is who he got shot by, even though it was another black man shot him. And see, it's hard for us to say that. It's hard. See, all the cases you rattle off was real. What I don't hear, Barry, is the cases of those 288 black women who lost their lives at the hands of black men. Because we keep trying to prioritize who's important and not. When we know if it was over for the woman, don't nobody, the black man won't even be here no more. So that don't even matter. But the fact that we keep trying to act like, we're going to make the police do this. The most people we have control over is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Is ourselves. Have they always been killing us, whoever these days are? Yes. What did our ancestors do? When in this country, lynchings happen every day. Not the lynching of you having Skittles, but the lynching on a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Men, women, and children, not just the black man. Men, women, and children were being lynched and murdered. What did our ancestors do? Did they go to the people who lynched them and say, please change your laws, please train people, please, please, please? But did they arm up? Did they do deacons for defense? Did they do deacons for defense?
They armed up. They armed up.
Yeah. So if we're not really gonna look at this thing, Barry, because I think that, I'm just saying in general, what I find is it's almost like some people was addicted to crack, some people was addicted to sex, and I think a lot of us are addicted to white people just screwing us. We could have something to complain about. Meanwhile, we bear no responsibility.
Yeah.
We bear no responsibility. If you don't like the police yourself. But black folks don't want to police themselves because that shit takes work, accountability, responsibility. We have to hang our shit on somebody else.
Well, you know what, sis? Everything that you're saying is, and sometimes we don't agree to the ends of things, but we totally agree on this situation per se. Because as a black father with a black daughter, I take the plight of the black woman very seriously. Ain't done the right thing all the time. I'm definitely not the perfect Negro. I'm not walking that shadow, but I recognize it. That's why I created a faction called She Could Be My Daughter, with my Voice of the Youth campaign and said, I'm going to help spearhead it, but it will be women led, and it's going to focus on domestic violence. It's going to focus on sexual assault. It's going to focus on trafficking in the Black community because, again, we don't like to discuss it. I was with a friend the other day, and I was just playing some of the music because we was talking about Russell Simmons. For those that don't know, Russell Simmons is going to have a unfortunate documentary that's going to depict his wild behavior, right? And some sexual assault charges that haven't been laid down by Foundation, but accusations that some folks have. May 27th. I think it's called On the Record. So, and as many folks know, when a year and a half ago, when some of the conversation with the Me Too movement came, and Russell Simmons got a hold of, there was some kind of possible accusations towards his way, he got up out of here. He didn't wait for R. Kelly. You know what I'm saying? R. Kelly waited around like, nah, man, I got tried for that. I'm good. He got up out of here. He's in Dubai. So that's why folks don't really see Russell Simmons, right? Now,
I didn't know
going back, and we're not jumping through topics. We just have to put everything in concession because I feel like the violence all connects, right? We can't just sit there and talk about the Ahmad and not look at our own, right? So going back into this documentary that's coming out, you see that folks will argue the fact that it's true, it's not, why and what. And I had to go and show my homegirl. I said, let me go ahead and bring you to where we were. And remember, we talked about this some shows ago, and you were like, we were going back and forth about how that's not what you grew up on. But I said, no, sis, in reality, this was kind of like culture. That's why some of these behaviors are what they are. And I say that by the music that I played compared to the music that is today. And I said this and I preference this. The music was the soundtrack of behavior. And I'm not saying that warrants behavior, but I'm saying understanding that if I'm being programmed, all I'm hearing is, B better have my money, will take my B, she won't complain, keep a hoe broke. If I'm hearing these things constantly and I'm seeing, because what folks don't know, the legend and the lore, a lot of these dudes like James Brown and all these people that we lift up, these niggas were abusers. You know what I'm saying? They were not only drug abusers, but they were a women abuser. And I remember in the day that I grew up, if you didn't have a strong brother, strong father, some cousins back in the day, if you was a woman that didn't have any strong, stable male that could step up for you, we can dog you out and speak to you on every kind of angle, because who was you going to go and get? So it wasn't a rarity for men to be as violent and as aggressive as they were back in the day. Now, you have a challenge with the Me Too movement, what I don't knock, but folks have to understand the common ground of why all these things are coming to surface. Because before, when women would speak upon it, it was almost kind of like, man, get out of here. Or a woman would just go into another abusive relationship to another abusive relationship. This is kind of what the thing was. And I say the soundtrack of a lot of it for me and my crew and my young people growing up was that music. It kind of insinuated when I'm hearing Ice Cube, who you would never think would do, because all of the home movies that he had, when he talks about bitches and hoes and slapping a bee, when you hear E40, who you would never think, talking about having sex with a girl who's 16 years old, when you talk about KRS-One, someone who you never would think, who's singing or talking about the girls look so good, but their brain is not ready, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right. His men don't touch. His men, it don't touch though. His mean you don't. She looked good, but you shouldn't be messing with her. That's what he.
Well, there's some other stuff that he said as well that was kind of sketchy.
So I grew up with KRS-One.
And there's another song that he's kind of like, that was very errant. But in the era of where you're listening to it, even my brother Big Daddy Kane is as conscious as he is. I'll take him 8 to 80. My brother said, I'll take him 8 to 80, dumb, cripple, and crazy. Listen what he said. 8 to 80, I ain't dumb, cripple, and crazy. And then you look at like BBD, Do Me Baby, backstage, underage, adolescents, we're just transporting what we hear. So in this violence, for me, I look at it with black men being against black men and killing black men in the rate. What do you expect police to do when this is what they recognize? Well, y'all niggas is killing each other anyway, so we gonna do the same kind of methods, though I'm not saying it's right, and I'm saying it shouldn't be, because I feel anybody that wears a badge should be held in a total higher regard in a professional position, because they are getting taxpayers' money, even though I know they're human. The ideology is niggas have to understand the preference of visual that folks see, and the way we're treated is the way we act towards each other. And that to me frustrates me and angers me, because we act as if the source of what they do, which is incorrect, isn't coming from somewhere. And I'm not saying that they should, but I'm telling you that what these white folks look at, they look at us like, shit, well, y'all motherfuckers is constantly doing this shit. You're not supporting each other, so fuck it.
I don't think white people look at us like that. I think they don't see us as being human beings. I really think that this, because the things you talked about is the things that happened in your 40-year lifetime, Barry. I'm talking about shit that go all the way back. And when you do that, you're talking about an era and how you lived it in the era. I have grown brothers, never been to prison, never did any of that shit that most black men act like that's the black man experience. And they're good fathers, good providers, married to the same woman for over 20 and 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Not saying they shit was perfect, but some people grew their kids with morals and standards. And so we don't get to lump everybody into that experience. I heard the same music. My brothers heard the same music. We did not comply. You know, some music say fuck the police, but niggas bitch up when they see the police. So we can't act like this, the music is your soundtrack. No, you do it because that's who you are. That's who you are. And my thing is, it's this false sense of we're unity. We're going to protect who we think is the most valuable. I even look at it like this, because these are like exaggerating ways of looking at the disrespect to women. But I look at how we value, who we value, and who we make responsible, who we let off the hook. These are all things that people in general do. I just watched Becoming about Michelle Obama. And I love me some Michelle Obama. I just love her just as a woman and how she rolled. When she talked about her upbringing, I felt like that was my upbringing, because that's who my parents were. That's what North Philly was like when I was growing up in it. But I would say this, she talked about in a joking kind of way how her mother has more accolades for her brother, but she don't get as much. It starts that small. When we talk about value of black girls and black women, it starts by the way oh, well, he's a boy, he'll do that. You know, all of that is contributing to black femicide. So when black women are dying, crickets, because you may have to look at what you love and what you have on a pedestal so much, you may have to look at that and be like, one elder said to me, I don't know what I would do if my son murdered somebody, male or female, because that meant he came out of me. And I produced that out of my body. See, that's a different kind of way of thinking. See, the white man ain't even in that thought process at all. That's called full accountability. When you have to say, wait a minute, we're going to have to back up and look at how we are treating each other. No laws going to fix that. No white cops going to fix that. No white teacher, no white principal, none of that. That's some shit you have to do yourself. And that's why I'm very quiet on the cop killing, because I think we got enough black people harping on that shit. We got enough for me. So I was like, I'm not having nothing. I'm focusing on black femicide. And black femicide is the killing of black women. And that's the stuff we're not going to talk about. We're not going to talk about all the different things that's happening to black girls and women, because it means we may have to look at our own behavior. You know, I'm conscious of that myself. So I don't say words like she got raped. I would say she was raped. That implies that somebody else did it, not that she went and got herself raped. Because we talk like that in our language, and we don't want to look at even our own contribution to the environment of. It's a damn shame that those 288 women did not call the police, because if they had, and their husbands or boyfriends or whoever would have been killed, we would have been in the street like, they shouldn't have killed that man. That's wrong. They just killed about black men. Meanwhile, he killed her. Crickets. So for me, it's like I'm just like, we need law and order. Sorry, we ain't strong enough to govern ourselves. We're really not. We're afraid to say something, and not me and you, Barry. I'm talking about in general. We're afraid to say something to our kids. Scared. Oh, that boy come shoot me. Somebody posted on my thing, and I started to erase it, but I was like, no, this is a great example. One brother said how he seen a man jumping on a woman, and he got out and did something. Do you know the next person, which was a black woman, said that was dangerous. You could have got killed. So what he supposed to do? Roll on past and just let the woman get. See, we ain't talking about that because that's the real revolution. And we're not talking about being accountable to each other for real. And we're not talking about changing our behavior to each other. I don't give a damn about white people. This is who they've always been in the history of this country. I don't fuck them. That's where I'm at. I'm talking about my own. More than likely, Barry, if I was to be murdered today, and if it was by somebody that was black, it would be like, oh, well, she did okay programs. She was nice. She did a road trip. That's it. If it was a cop, oh, man, she was the best thing we ever had. The value that we put on white people when it comes to us, that's what's sickening. That sickens me to my core. Because we make white people gods. We make them important. We make them the best thing smoking. We measure everything by them. Everything. Some of us went and got their degrees to prove to them that we're worthy. But when we come with issues in our own community, there's crickets again. Oh, well, I didn't study that when I got my master's. I didn't study that in my PhD. I was just trying to prove to the white people that I deserve to be a doctor. Doctor of what? Holding up a damn system? Doctor of what? Trying to prove to them that you would like to be holding the gun that shoots us instead of them? Then it may be justified. Because we justify black on black crime. We justify that shit by saying it don't exist. You know, like we justify it because we are so afraid of that goddamn mirror. We're so afraid to look into that mirror that is you. To me, I know that black folks don't value each other when we just act like that don't exist. I said, look at this. This is a black person that I don't want to build shit with them because they can't even value their own self. So I know what they'll do for me. That's what I know to be true. So I just can't, Barry. I'm sorry for the loss of life. God knows I am. But I'm not. I sound like silly. The color purple. God knows I do. But I'm just saying, I'm just sick of black folks putting value on people who they think are valuable. And we know in the black community, the black woman ain't worth shit. She really ain't. She ain't worth shit. All she does is produce children, hold up other people's dreams and goals, value the bronze penis. That's what the fuck we do. We don't value shit. And some of us, I know why our daughters don't come to us and say, hey, your boyfriend is messing with me because you be quick to defend his penis over your whole daughter's being. And you know I ain't lying, Barry. You know, I've had people, grown ass women, tell me shit that's happened to them, and they 50 and they still struggle with that. They still struggle with that. Do you imagine those 288 black women? Well, how they, because some of them were mothers, most of them were mothers. What are their children gonna say? What they got to say? Like, what's their reality gonna be? That's all I'm saying. I think that probably the inkling of what we give the white people to ourselves, we'd be in such a better position, Barry. But that would take being responsible. And you know, we ain't about that. We only want to be responsible when white people can see us or feel us, or that white people gotta be in the equation. It just don't work for black people.
Well, I think that unfortunately the cycle will continue because that's what usually behavior is. I mean, the unfortunate thing of what you see is what you get. No matter of the nurture, we have to play the part of nature. But going into all the things that you just said, and you know, like I said, I agree with some points, and you know, I disagree on some others. But I do understand the point in segment that you said comes out from me is structure and infrastructure, right? We have no structure in our communities, and then we have no infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, like we have no governing bodies. You know, we don't have anything that can help support things that we need. The reason why we don't have justice is we don't have enough brave folks that are in lines of government that all agree that, hey, this is the kind of approach that we have to have in order to get government. When I look at the idea of a black man and a black woman, we are arguing the simple fact if they're innocent, being dead, that to me speaks volumes. If we have to create this argument with folks who now are trying to take a narrative that the media has presented, because the media is a very slick embodiment of who we are, right?
Oh.
Every particular time, and it doesn't matter what case it is, they always create a criminal element of the victim, whether the victim was connected to somebody, whether the victim had a past criminally, or a victim might have been before slaying was doing something. And that's kind of like the stem, even in a sense of Breonna Taylor, right? They discussed the simple fact that, well, they were looking for the ex-boyfriend and the boyfriend shot at the police. As if the police came in saying, hey, we're the police, and the boyfriend got the shooting. So when the idea of it, how it plays out to the public at large, back in the day, the public at large, when we talk about juries, and I'm just going to go into folks about why these juries and all this shit is all messed up and it will never get any justice. Back in the day, you could get jury members that wouldn't know nothing about the crime per se, right? Let's just say the Ahmaud case where in Georgia, the young man got killed, the alleged jogger, whatever. Back in the days, folks in Georgia probably wouldn't even have TVs, internet, or whatever to know anything about the story. So they go into the story blindly, right? If they're picked for a jury. They would not know how to even think about something because only thing they know is somebody got killed, give me the facts. Now, moving forward, how can you really pick an accurate jury member when stories get uplifted on two different media frames? Social media and the old school media that we're used to, the TV. Social media is kicking TV media's ass. So they're both trying to sensationalize and get a story out there before one of the other, right? Before, TV media had no competition. It was their narrative. TV newspaper, it was their narrative. Now you have a whole bunch of nuance with social media. So you get about 3-5 different stories going at one time. There's no way that a juror who is going to be a potential juror cannot allocate that they've heard about the story and misinformation from accurate information because there's 25 different stories that come all at one time. So when we sit up thinking about picking out jury members and hopefully that the jury members wouldn't have been influenced by what Johnny Public has said, that's a damn lie. We don't even have that luxury anymore because there's too many avenues that people are connected to hear about the story. So when you go into it, we go back to the structure. If Negroes had a structure line and a structure base, you wouldn't have the 200 and some killings of black women. Why? Because the black women wouldn't have to call the police. They would call that general structure of Negroes that go handle that situation and handle that business.
I have black women dying because they're not dying because of the police. They're dying because of black men killing them. That has nothing to do with the police. Nothing to do with like.
I did not listen. I didn't say that. If you heard what I said, you didn't hear what I said.
Maybe I didn't hear that right.
You jumped on me. Relax. I said you gotta get your fan out. I said if we had structure.
Okay, if we had structure,
we wouldn't have to call. They would be able to call a system of brothers to go handle that business. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. If we have structure, we don't have structures in the masses. I remember myself doing my due diligence several times, but it was hard pressed for me to find Negroes I could call that one would be adequate, accountable, and fearless to handle the business, right? If shit did go down and it went left, how would the situation be handled? We don't have that infrastructure, and that destroys the capability for us because we understand. Here's the thing. Again, we go into programming. What a black woman sees, damn, that Negro got killed by the police. That Negro was just sucking on a lollipop at the goddamn bus stop. Her mind is like, I'm not thinking call police first because I don't want this nigga to get slaughtered. I'm thinking how I can get myself out of it. That's what they're probably thinking at first. How can I?
As they're dying.
And the unfortunate part about it, they're dying because of that. They're dying because of decisions of one, I can help change them. Two, I don't want someone else to come in and do what probably should be done to this Negro. And three, he didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. Bad day. Got some shit going on. I did it. I provoked him. And all that shit is backwards. And the reason why that shit is backward, Queen, because we don't have structure. And not having structure, not having infrastructure being the simple fact, a sister could call a number, a brother could call a number. I got some situations and it get handled. And those who get handled don't go run back to the police themselves. That's very clear. You know what I mean? Then we didn't have the situation, but we are too afraid to govern ourselves because, again, accountability is something that we very much lack. And when I look at some of the timeline, man, I'm on Facebook jail, folks, so that's why you ain't seen me post no shit. I'm in Facebook jail again, right? I'm
free my boy Barry.
Yeah, free me, free Barry Action. I see the thing that preys in the mind of so many, that why are the dead having to prove their innocence? And a lot of the times when we've talked about the R. Kellys, we've talked about the Bill Cosby, main thing that comes out ain't the fact the crime, it's the fact of what did those women do to put them in those positions. That speaks the volumes. And I think because the core of fear we want to strike at the men to break the black man, to say they go keep playing basketball, they go keep on entertaining, they go keep on doing everything that does not line up to you supporting your community, or you will feel the pressure and the penalties. I think that's why we constantly will see us be in the forefront of, oh my God, they killed another black man compared to a black woman. And that, to be honest with you, is something that's up to us. It's up to us to be able to speak the truth and lift up the names of these women killed. Because if we don't speak the truth of these women being killed, that who are we? And who are we, again, to listen to what the media is telling us or programming us to pay attention to? We should be paying attention to all of this shit. I've been telling Negroes, the worst time of this pandemic is now the abuser is going to be in the house with the person that they abuse. That's right? But we don't want to discuss that because, again, that is not the color of the day. The easy thing is to do hashtag, symbolic shit. Like when Negroes talk about they was going to jog, I said, hell the fuck no. I'm just saying, no disrespect on it.
I'm laughing. It ain't funny, but
I know. But it's like I get it. But why is it always this? One of the sisters said, "We're like ambassadors for our own death." It's like we become. It's like immediately hashtag. And I'm not going to sit there and say I don't put the hashtag to get some awareness. But then, as I've been in this thing before, like being right in this core, especially with Stephon Clark shit, I've seen it's a lot of bullshit. It's smoke and mirrors, and nothing ever comes out of it because we're not changing the laws and we're not changing ideology, and ideology comes from us. And if we don't identify that we have to paint a better picture, a glossier picture of our own selves, that it will continue to be the same results that we're seeing right now.
Well, let me say this, Barry, because I love building with you because you are Barry. You are authentic. You are like the first brother that I talked to. I'm gonna keep this so solid. But one of the first brothers I talked to, who literally is trying to think this thing through. Where some of the brothers who I talked to, it was always about putting it on somebody else. And that to me is like, you can't build nothing with somebody who can't be responsible. We supposed to every day bring 10 nails. You keep showing up with 2, and I'm going to do your 10. You can't build shit like that.
No. Sure.
And so this is a hard ass topic just to even cover. But the harder part of it is us being responsible to how we lay this out. One of the things I learned from Marcus Garvey, as I did from a lot of people, Marcus Garvey learned that when he would call people like honorable and put these sayings in front of people's names, like it's like a affirmation or a prayer or a wish, when calling them, he knew that immediately that would change, to start to shift some of how they felt. That we don't need a big ass game plan. We just need to work what we can, because that's all
Yeah.
we've been able to do. Most of us won't do that. So we'll do whatever we think white people is going to be okay with, like jogging. We'll do shit like a hashtag. This is lazy shit you could do by sitting on the couch. You're not going to go out there and engage, not even go out there in your own home. In your own home. You can start right there. You don't need a big gathering meeting place. Start in your own house. Clean your own shit out. Like tonight at 7:30, I've invited a bunch of women, a good friend of mine who is a professor of criminal justice and been a judge in the whole nine. He's going to talk about gun safety and black women arming themselves. God damn it, that's where we are right now. We cannot negotiate somebody else's life while they're taking our own. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So some of these solutions cannot be around what's going to be safe for the people that's killing me. See, that sounds like slavery to me, Barry. And slavery, one of the things that the reason why slavery was so successful is that they had to constantly, we had to think about everything and how it relates to white people. That's why they have a term called barrel of laughs, because black people weren't allowed to laugh in public. So you put your head in the barrel, and that's where you get your sounds out at.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even know the history of this shit. And so we're here on remote control. And instead of us saying, you know what, we really are descended from the first people. We really do have free will. I really don't have to do. You ever been somewhere, Barry, and somebody treating you like shit? You be like, let me take my black ass and my money and get stepping. That's called free will when you do that.
Yeah.
That's called free will when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell the white people, excuse me, white people, if you don't pay attention to me, I'm going to take my money and leave. You be like, deuces, and you out. You don't be like begging them to treat you better while you give them your money. That's the same thing with the Asian people in the nail shop. Stop fucking going. They treat you like shit. I'm not gonna lie, Barry. I have a really good nail person. They treat me very nice. But I'm gonna tell you something. I've been in there where black folks have been so goddamn ignorant, and I like to sit and watch people. I may not say nothing, but I watch it like, come on, Kathy, look at my nail. Like Kathy's being and they make up excuses for Kathy. But if I was Kathy, I'd be like, get you and your nail and get the hell out of here. Yeah. That's not the way you talk to people. But we don't want to, we don't want to look at our own contribution to this shit. We just don't want to do it because somehow most of us are the products that they were trying to make in slavery. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to say to these people who did the slavery, your plan worked, because these Negroes can't even wipe their ass without you saying that if it's wiped correctly or not. Mm. Now you know that's deep. You're in their thought process, and they sleep. When they wake up, they can't even breathe. You make them relevant. Mm. Now that's necessary.
I mean, yeah, it just I don't like I said, I'm beyond frustration, and I know some folks will be kind of like, and it was a very telling thing when we talk about the Ahmaud case, right? And we find out about his case, right? Going into that situation. It happened in February, but we all finding out like in May, late April, right? All these stories are kind of like are coming out. And Georgia was trying to open up their doors super fast and this is probably the reason why they wanted to open up, so we can kind of forget about this situation. The DA didn't do nothing. The McMichaels, the father and son. The father is a former police officer, worked in the DA office as well. And when you look at this situation, you kind of find yourself asking, well, what and how do the members of the family push the issue more than the people who are angry like myself about the situation? And then someone had talked to me about the Trayvon Martin case. Because this is a very similar case, because of course the McMichaels was like, hey, this guy was doing something, he was trespassing, and he was stealing stuff. There's now another video that shows him at a spot. I don't know if he was trespassing. He was at a construction site. Ain't no harm in that. That don't make you deserve to die. But someone has spoken and said, well, what baffles me is that why do we inherit the anger so deeply as if this was our child? Not saying that this is not affecting us, but as if it was our child, almost saying like, well, this is going to be another George Zimmerman, because, George Zimmerman, as we know, who killed Trayvon Martin, is walking around doing what he wants, living his best life. Right. And then he said, well, why hasn't Trayvon Martin's father stepped to the plate or done anything? I'm talking about try to bust the clothes and then when he said these things, as I'm reading and I'm listening, I was like, you know what? That makes some fucking sense, right? Because if somebody did some shit and something had happened to my daughter, and I took care of the business that I had to take care of, I did that on the low, of course, right? Some shit happened, I handled the business. On that day, a Negro was gonna get served. That's just it. But it befounds me to try to understand or discover why is it that the work of those who are directly connected falls into the work of others. Like, show us that you're that mad. Show us that you're that pissed off. Because you don't hear nothing about anything that George Zimmerman does except when he does some old type of trolling situation. But you've never heard not one time Trayvon Martin's family member, father, directly the father, even attempt to go ahead and get some type of justice in the way. And I just believe that until we go back to real street justice, until we create the infrastructure that we can get justice in other ways, that this is going to continue to happen. Every black person in America should be armed. Just like those white boys was driving around looking for trespassers, that nigga should have been jogging with a strap or a knife. You know what I'm saying? Especially in a place like Georgia. I keep trying to tell y'all, Atlanta is in Georgia. It's not Atlanta there. It's Georgia.
It's in Georgia. That's so true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, please believe it's Georgia is the state. Atlanta is just a city. And all those other surrounding states and cities, you think California has a racist barrier. They are indoctrinated in that race barrier to this day, where Negroes know where they're supposed to be and Whitey knows where they're supposed to be. It's just like that. So this idea and thought that we're in this new racially, this new racial equity in America is totally done and totally wrong. And I think, to be honest with you, sis, the narrative that I think that we embody is that things have changed. Things are different. And I think that makes the Negro so comfortable to believe that we've moved on a right path. And the reality is we haven't. So when I see people upset about the Ahmaud case or the Taylor case or the Reed case, I say, well, weren't you the same Negroes that sat there and was upset and thought that Clark should have just not run behind in his grandma's backyard? Weren't you that same person that said Tamir Rice shouldn't have had that play gun? Like, you know what I mean? It changes from people to people. And that's my problem that I have. You are not saying that black people, you're not saying this. You are not saying I don't give a fuck about black men murder. You're not saying that. But what you're saying is I care about it all. And if we can't sit there and focus on our own black women being murdered, how the hell we gonna give this much power? Because all of them intersect together. And I say that because it is true. You can't sit there and have more energy for black men being killed and have less to no energy for black women being killed. It's crazy. It's asinizing. And that gives the enemy the idea of, you don't care of those who birth the warriors. You don't care about them. You just care about just the warriors. Well, we gonna go ahead and eliminate the birth because the birthers can be eliminated. And you know what we're gonna do? We are gonna single-handedly have the Negro do it to themselves. And that has been the craziest play that has been known to God, that folks who've came out of enslavement, redlining, mass incarceration, black codes, all of the things, civil rights movement, immigration. It's a flip. You guys will be against each other. And that's why I say, sis, even though we agree to disagree on this angle, I say the music plays such an integral part. Why I say that? Because if there's not good models, and remember, I lived with a dad that because he built foundation, even though I went to the streets, I came back and I knew what it was. I was like, oh, okay, shit, well, this street shit ain't shit. My dad worked his ass off. My dad went to work. My dad was a doorman in San Francisco, one of the highest paid doormen in San Francisco in Hilton over there. He moved from New York to get a better job and a better way of living for us in California, even though we was hit with crack cocaine anyway. But he was like, okay, we're going to move out of New York. This shit crazy. California seems to be maybe a better place to raise my children. I went and found what I found, but I had foundation, so I knew when to go back. Our children don't have foundation. So most of the time, and this is not an excuse for the Negro, what they see abuse in a house, what they see is I'm just going to use my will because a black man in America has no power. They're powerless. So what do? They inflict and use their power on the only thing that loves them, a black woman. That's the only thing that they can relatively sit there and think they can control. And when they find out they can't control it, they lose their minds. Because nothing else they can control. Why? Because you got a whitey after you. You got your own kind after you. You're not going to be looked upon to get any type of proper education or jobs unless you can entertain or unless you can shoot a basketball or run a football. And those, again, are no excuses. But I understand the cycle that happens with these Negroes and why they lose it from the deep end. But it still does not condone the simple fact that these things are happening and we just embrace when it's a white vigilante, it's a lynching. Newsflash, Negroes, lynchings ain't never went nowhere. You get what I'm saying? This is just one publicized lynching. Do you know we can go through and find a list of lynchings that's happened in the last 7 years that ain't had no type of publicity at all? And the reason why this had publicity, Queen, it was because they utilized the jogging. They utilize the jogging. They utilize the fitness. So niggas is like, oh my God, I'm shocked. I jog. What, as a jogger, I'm not safe? They utilize that. And that's the only criticism that I'll have because how the media depicts things. But at the end of the day, if we don't sit there, if the pandemic ain't the time for niggas to get their shit together, me, honestly, sis, I don't know when, where, how we gonna get our shit together. Because if this is a time where we've seen an increase of domestic violence in a black community, and you and I both knew this shit was gonna come, you pray and hope to say, hopefully these niggas can get it together. But you know it's gonna come. But the problem with the domestic violence is gone to murder. And the fact that we don't talk about it, it breaks my heart. Because I'm gonna let you know, if it was any Negro, and I advise my daughter to be careful of who she deals with, who she talks to, with the right temperament. I'm going to tell you right now, you ain't got to see too many hashtags. You ain't going to see too many conversations with me. If that nigga's not where he's at, that nigga is as good as dead. And that's my law. That's my word.
I agree. I agree with you, Barry. And I agree with you. It's not like I don't agree with what you're saying. I agree with your point of view because you're explaining the view from what you know. I never thought the war was really against black men. I really don't. I think that's a lie women tell themselves so they can make sense of their choices. And usually with people who have sons say stuff like that as well. But what I really come to know is that when you're really trying to eliminate a people, when you really want them to be erased, you have to kill which brings them in. You know, and I think for the fact that we have this thing where it's so painful for us to look at our own behavior that we make the white people so powerful. You know, when you choose to kill another black person, whether it's a man or a woman, it is your choice. You know, when you go to jail, you can't take the rap music with you. You can't take, the homeboy who was bigging you up, like hit that bitch. He not going with you. You're gone. And I think sometimes that's that thing again of free will.
Yeah.
Free will. And I think we struggle with that. It's kind of like when you have your grown ass kid who don't want to leave your house, but you like, fool, you grown. You can't be living with me. I'm 70. You know what I mean? You're grown. You're not supposed to keep coming back to me. Now you're supposed to be standing on your own. For some reason, some black people, and I don't think it's all, like I've known black men who did not buy any of the line. I looked at that Becoming and looked at Michelle's brother and was like, there's so many Michelle Obama brothers in the world, but for some reason we don't like to see them because it makes us look like we wasn't on our job when we really wasn't on our job. And it's okay to say, hey, I have people who were my age who had their PhD when they was 34. We the same age. I don't get mad and be like, well, that's because I don't make those assumptions. I say, sister, God bless you. I'm glad you was able to go get it. I come from the era where we said word to your mother. That wasn't some shit that was made up by Vanilla Ice. That meant, you know what I mean? That was
Vanilla Ice didn't make that up. Vanilla Ice didn't make that up.
That's misappropriation when it go wrong as hell. But I'm just saying, I feel like we just gotta really. This is the hardest shit. Accountability is probably the hardest thing for black folks. It's the hardest thing for us to do in our individual lives. It's the hardest thing that you cannot hang your misfortunes on other people. That's the hardest thing to be able to say. I love it when somebody say, I always love young people. They be like, I did that, Ms. Rowe. Yes, I did. I'll be like, thank you, God. Thank you that you didn't blame the teacher. You didn't blame the other student. You was like, no, I did that. Yes, I did. I love it when somebody go to court. I watched Judge Mathis and the woman said, yes, I burnt all his goddamn clothes. Yes, I did. And I'd be like, well, what happened? She said, no, I burnt it. That's called accountability. And if we're gonna sit up here and make black men the victim of something where they victimize somebody, that means you're a co-conspirator. That means you can't sit in the jury box for me. That means we can't go to you for justice. See, there was a time, Barry, if a black man or woman committed a crime, your parents would be like, now you know what you're going to have to do. Because when you take somebody's life, baby, I can't. One time I stole some quarters, Barry. I stole some quarters out of somebody's collection. You know how you stole quarters and I think I stole like $2. And I got busted. And my mother, old school, not only did she make me, she came up with quarters for me to put the quarters back, and she whooped my ass, but she made me work at this person's house for 2 days, like 2 hours. There was, and my mother said, because I'm not raising no thieves. I don't give a damn. If I don't have money to give you, that don't mean you go steal it.
Accountability.
You know what I mean? And I learned that early. So my mom didn't say, well, Londa, I'm sorry I didn't make enough money where I can give you some change because I bought some goddamn penny candy with the goddamn quarters.
Yeah.
Stupid shit. But that was a lesson for me. Like, first, it ain't cool to steal. And two, you have to work hard for that money. That shit was so embarrassing. But it gave me like, well, you ain't supposed to be stealing. Like, the woman probably would have gave me some change if I asked. Yeah. But to me, I just had to steal. See, we don't want to talk about that shit. Because I watch parents protect their kids when they do shit that is just, we think it's like, oh, they just being kids. Now when they grown doing the shit, now you want to talk about, why can't you be like so-and-so? Because that's not how you made me, player.
Let me tell you something. If there was shame back in the black community, they will be damned to do a lot of the things that folks do. There is no such thing as shame. And the funny part about it as folks want to celebrate and clap the conversation that we having, a lot of that shame goes into a lot of the parenting that is what we have currently, right? Me and my daughter, we don't share no social media capacity to a level. She got to my stuff, I got hers. I don't go into hers, she don't go into mine. My daughter and I, they're still at, you are the child. I don't give a damn if you're the adult, you're still my child, right? And when she gets a little bit outside of her range of discussing things, I'm gonna bring her right back to her place. And a lot of us don't have that. A lot of us don't have that notion. And the reason why is because you have a lot of guilt in a lot of parents for something that they felt they've done wrong, whether they stayed in a relationship for too long that wasn't working, whether they wasn't in a relationship to help work it out for the child to be more balanced, or they didn't reach the Mount Olympus of parenting that some of us have in mind by giving their child that Bill Cosby, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air kind of life, right? Or even now, having their child live like a Kardashian. I mean, these are the things that our parents are facing. And I think the guilt that a lot of our parents hold on to, it creates a monster of a child. Because the coldest part about all of this, these killers, they're coming from somebody's household, right? These killers just didn't birth themselves. Understand me? And I understand exactly what you're saying about, if I make a decision, I can't talk and say to the judge, well, I listened to Too Short and he said, smack that B. So I smacked it. I can't. Even though, sis, even though in a court of law, here's a twist. I can't blame him. I can't blame Too Short. I listened to Too Short, man. Eazy-E said this. I can't blame them. Two Live Crew said this.
Now get there.
They will utilize those things to mirror my criminal behavior. They'll say, well, look at what Barry's lyrics said. I can't blame the lyrics that influenced me, but they'll say, well, if you look at what he said on April 18th, I said, what the hell? Whether I'm writing it, whether it's Facebook messaging, they're going to use all that to try
to jail, Barry.
You know, right? But when you talk about accountability,
right on.
I think that because you don't have foundation, sis, and that's what I'm really just trying to focus on in this component. If you don't have foundation, you don't wake up with that reality. Like, you know what? Todd down the street shouldn't be able to influence me. You know what I'm talking about?
I agree. I think everybody has foundation. But is your foundation made of
sand?
Yes,
right. Sand? Yes.
Right.
We have a foundation. Is it made of sand, cement?
Yeah.
And what all people's foundation, not all, but a lot of folks' foundation is on that goddamn sand and some damn water that they said Jesus said to walk on water. It ain't working. Bricks and cement. I'm just being honest. Right. You need some steel, because you can't have a foundation made of sand and water. It's just not going to work.
You're going to stand on it. That's real talk.
So I think that the inability, right? The inability for us to discuss, and I think sometimes we try to break it in a psychoanalysis about why Black men are doing what they're doing and not making it really plain. Black men have a problem, not saying all, some Black men have a problem when they cannot control something, right? Something that they believe is theirs, right? Again, if the world in areas that I'm struggling is against me, I'll be damned if this woman who don't have as much strength as me, who it should be docile, who should be listening, I'll be damned. On top of that, I'll be damned if somebody that says who loves me is going to treat me with any kind of flex, any kind of like making me feel inferior. And that's kind of like it's a struggle of power. That's what it is. It's a struggle of power. Niggas don't have enough power. Like, I've dealt with cases. You know, I'm still great friends with the people when I dealt with the case of Deja over here in Sacramento, and how the young man just came in and he's flossing with the guns and ends up killing her and doesn't understand, well, I didn't really. No, nigga, you should have never had a gun and pointed at your baby mama. It's just these niggas lose the sense, and I swear they see it and they believe it, because not every child is going to want to walk the steps that I'm walking. Not every child is going to walk the steps that you're walking.
Right.
And a lot of firms that they look at us, they would call us our lifestyle square. Like, oh, this is square living. But then they figure out when they sit and doing 25 to life, square living is the best living. You understand what I'm saying?
That's so true.
That's the truth. Because I swear, if I was being repaid for mistakes I made at 16, at 40 years old, I would be sick to my goddamn stomach. And I would unfortunately probably have the mentality of understanding I can't blame it on Ice Cube, but I'd probably blame it on Ice Cube, because that would have been the root for me in my upbringing, for my soldiers when we were coming up. These foundational things that we were experiencing were these things. I was watching grown-ass men take on 14 and 15-year-old homegirls of mine and having sex with them. Like they were big-time players. That's what it was. It was like, damn, brother, can't you keep some for us? You got the older women. Why can't you? And it was like something that was a norm in society now. Hell to the no, you can't get away with that type shit. That shit is so underground, though it still happens. It's so underground that people ain't going to flaunt it out like they used to do back in the day. It's not something that we accept. And I think the problem that we have, we allow the narratives to be dictated to us, and we never push back. And when we push back, when I told Negroes, fuck your jogging, fuck your hashtag, Negroes was like,
that what got you in jail, Barry?
No, whatever. I'm gonna send you what got me in jail. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, sis, I haven't even had time to speak on this. But then I see Negroes, when the second video come out, Negroes cooning, and they're like making it as if the black man did something wrong. They make it as a black woman, because every argument you'll have, what did the black woman do to put her in that situation? Why did she leave? These are the arguments that you're gonna have. Well, if he was abusive, why did he leave? Why didn't she leave? It wasn't that bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, she should have did this. And these things become an excuse.
Like there's ever an excuse for people doing stuff. That's what
exactly. And I think, sis, that until we embrace our failures, we're never going to be able to embrace our wins. And we will continue to have the same damn issues, because like you say, it is a lot easier to focus on good whitey, because we don't want to have no accountability for good blackies. And when we talk about there's generations lost, sis, I was just at a murder scene. Two black, I want to say a black person and maybe a Latino cat, I don't know, but two people dead. I know one for sure was black. It was just the other night on Saturday, right? On Amherst, right over here in Meadowview.
Oh,
right?
I heard about that.
Yeah, the same place where I'm down the street. I'm doing free food, and these niggas in this place they call Danger Island. They call this place Danger Island.
Old school. That's across the street on 7-Eleven.
Yeah, it's called Danger fucking Island.
I grew up in that area.
The idea
next to the mega church. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. A mega church, right. This is the ideas that they have about their environment. For you and I, we see a bigger world, but for them, they just see what? Danger Island and everything that's connected to Danger Island. And what's dangerous about that is when our youth, and especially our adults who don't allow the youth to see a bigger world, a bigger picture, to understand historically that it's not Danger Island you come from a beautiful motherland called Africa. They call it the motherland. They don't call it the fatherland for a reason. When you have that being a part of the sandy and watery foundation, it's very difficult for the next generation to come up out of that. And I think that's why the cycle continues. And these motherfuckers know that at the end of the day, they're going to continue to have this stuff perpetuate, because there's really no sign of changing it. Because in order to change it, you have to really destroy something that's called Danger Island. You really would have to rip out the apartments, Throw some of those people outside and come anew. And I don't feel that the powers that be will do it, and we don't have enough structure or infrastructure to do it ourselves.
Right on. Barry, why are you in Facebook jail?
I'm in Facebook jail because somebody who allegedly said they had got hacked made some racist remarks to me and my people. One of the things that they said was, all you black combative women.
I read that.
Yeah. And then, what I did, I looked in, I did some research on the person. I posted up something. I really went hard on her. And then folks was like, clapping back saying, thank you for, exposing her. But allegedly she was hacked, whatever. Then I made a comment to a sister. I said, good job. Hopefully we don't have to double team a coon, silly ass Negro. And as soon as I could turn around, my comment that I made to one of my sisters, they put me in 30-day Facebook jail. So I'm thinking,
like you in school, and they
listen, this is ridiculous. I mean, and that speaks to, again, why do we have only Facebook being our own avenue to kind of, we have to have our own shit. And then the thing about it, sis, is cold. You don't even have a review session to say, hey, so what did I say? They just automatically say, we know people make mistakes, but here goes your 30 days. The algorithms is already messing up my posts. They already screwing. They're already messing with me anyway.
They're trying to slow you down, Barry. I've had that happen.
Sure.
They're trying to slow you down.
So right now, if folks want to add my public figure page, Barry Axius, I put my public figure page. I put that up. Follow me on Twitter, Barry Axius. Follow me on IG, Barry Axius. Free your guy, free your man, the most disliked popular guy. But all I'm doing is speaking truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, they allow the Russians, and they, the funny thing about Facebook, I'm in jail, sis, right? But these racist white vigilantes, this hate crime that they have not decided to put a hate crime on yet. They have a justice for Travis and George McMichael. I don't know if the brother, one of the guys are named George. I don't know, but they have a justice page for them. They said these God-fearing men just was protected. That's the crazy thing about Facebook. And the thing about it, again, this speaks upon the volume of psychological warfare that is being played. Psychological warfare all day long. Genocide all day on the streets. We still have not figured out, by being censored, being blocked, that we shouldn't get our own shit. Like, all these multi-billionaires, niggas ain't sat there and said, you know what, we're going to start our own motherfucking thing? Like with Black Planet? Like, why did we stop Black Planet? Why? Because we love the ice of the white man, because it's a lot cooler. Because we should have kept going with Black Planet. I'm just saying.
We believe white people are God. We rise and set to them like they're the sun. And people get mad with me all you want, but just by your very existence, I know sometimes you believe he's God by just the words that you use when you're talking about shit you have control over. That's the bottom line with me, Barry. Let's wrap it up, brother.
Yeah, well, again, I'm in Facebook jail. So IG, Barry Axius, spelled like that. Send some letters, send a car, free the guy, 30 days. I'm not going to be out till June 6th. It's messing up my little business. Got all the stuff I'm doing.
IG, Barry Axius?
Yeah, just IG, Barry Axius, and Twitter, Barry Axius, just like it's spelled. And of course, my public figure page, Barry Axius. You need to put a public figure page as well, Queen. It's one of those things that,
so that's your Instagram, and what else?
That's my Instagram and my Twitter, Barry Axius. Yeah. And free the guy. So, like I said, we'll be back with the Black Pandemic. We've been in a state of emergency. Next week, we'll have some guests come in, break it down. But I just want to specify with folks that in this moment, I think the last part I want to say, let's not let the white folks' narrative be our narrative. Because at the end of the day, I don't care if the brother was wearing khakis. I don't care if the brother was jogging. I don't care if the sister had an ex-boyfriend that was a felon. He wasn't living there. I don't give a shit about nothing. If they kill us, we have to stand on that they killed us, because they don't give up no goddamn excuses about nothing. You got these white folks now all over the country protesting about reopening their goddamn states. But when Negroes protest about violence that's going on in their communities by folks that we all pay our taxes to. They want to look at us disrespectful. They want to look at Negroes who kneel and try to make a stance, a symbolic stance. They want to look at that as un-American. What's very un-American is that we're still talking about these same subjects. That's very un-American to me. That we're still talking about the same subject that we've had centuries and centuries ago. Before it was legalized to kill Negroes, now it seems like the law protects the legalization to kill Negroes, and it don't matter if it's black, it doesn't matter if it's black woman or black man. And for the folks that look at these black women, please follow my sister Mama Ro and these powerful conversations. Femicide is a real thing, and it's not to pit the black man as like, you know, these predators, but there are Negroes that are predators, and we have to just be honest with that. There are Negroes that are violent towards women. We just have to be honest about that, and we cannot allow that, because it's gone to the point where Negroes cannot even handle their emotions. They're so fucking sensitive that now they're killing our women. And if the woman is killed, then how do we have the next stock of brave warriors and brave-hearted soldiers? And I don't want to hear the blame going on the women. It's blame on both sides. But the side I will really look at is the black man. Black man, we have to have principle. We have to live and move in a better way. And if we're going to sit there and talk about protecting our queens, protecting our children, we have to protect the womb. We have to protect those women that are birthing the gods and goddesses of this world. And we have to stop allowing, again, white folks to create and paint our narrative, because all these guys are going to do is paint a narrative. A bunch of juries are going to watch that narrative until they become jurists, and those white boys, those police are going to walk. We get no justice until we create our own infrastructure, until we create structure in our homes and our structures in our community. We have to start talking real and stop being afraid of the discussion. If you see these Negroes, I have a lot of young Negroes that do a lot of wrong things. I just tell them, 10 years down the line, do you think you want this to be your future? And I leave it at that.
Right on, right on. All right, family. Yeah, this is always great having a conversation. I dedicate every Thursday. There's a sister named Rosa. She's a nurse by profession, and she tracks all of these cases, the 288 cases and more. She tracks violence against Black women and girls throughout the U.S. And the sad part is that we have a lot of so-called educated, I got a good job, Black people, and nobody ever thought to do that. Nobody ever thought to do that, and she did. And so not only does she track them, she also works with the family. So every Thursday at between 3 and 4, she brings the stories to you directly, so you can put some faces with these cases, so y'all can see. And we should be concerned about that. We really should, as we should be concerned about a lot of things. But I just feel like this: if you allow these murders to continue, then you're basically erasing yourself. And maybe you need to be gone. I don't deserve to be gone, but maybe you do. So anyway,
I know that's deep, sis. I mean that
I ain't gotta go out here.
But I just don't. I really do. And I see Tina. Yes, Tina. I don't blame the Black woman. I hope like that didn't come off like I'm blaming the Black women. I put the accountability on Black men, because I've been in relationships. I've had the baby mama drama. I've been in toxic situations, and I know the strength of me walking away, controlling myself helps. If I had an abusive woman or whatever, because I know a lot of men want to say some women, you know what? This is what I always say. My baby mama this, my baby mama that. I always say, Negro, some particular time, that so-and-so, you slept with her. You had a child. Somehow, some way it happened. I don't know. Maybe y'all had a wild night of being drunk and high. I don't know. But that's why it's my responsibility, because I slept where I slept, whether I was trying to or wasn't. I'm going to take my responsibility. That's why my daughter and I have the relationship we have, as well as my daughter's mom. A lot of people don't ever understand how me and my daughter's mom has a relationship the way we do. She's a part of my family. We don't got to be together to be family. Yeah, I got to look out for her just like she got to look out for me, because if it saves our child, Our child doesn't have those kind of issues that other kids have. I got to split days with my mom. It's like we're family. She comes around. If I have a girlfriend, she's around. It's like she's my business partner. You know what I'm saying? She does my accounting. I've put her on the payroll. You understand me? It's like there's ways for us to operate, but it's too hard for a nigga to hear how you dealing with your baby mama and you ain't fucking her. It's too hard for a nigga to hear that. It's too hard. It's got to be something. No, it's just I want to keep the peace. You feel me? I don't want to be in this chaotic argue back and forth. I hate you. I'm not supposed to do that with my kids, Mom. Do we get in situations, or have we back in the day? For sure. But she brought one of the greatest joys, the greatest joy in my life, and that's my daughter, right? Yeah. And I've been honored to be able to get other young women to be just like my kids, because I bared the responsibility not by birthing them, but by raising them. Right. And I take high responsibility for that. And if we're not going to take responsibility for that at all things, how can we sit there and do all these symbolic things and put these hashtags when we don't give two shits about what's really going on in our own community? Sis, it's baffling to hear that there's no Negroes checking these Negroes.
Yeah.
There's no Negroes checking these Negroes. It's like Negroes, and that's why I say I blame it on the nature, and I blame it on what these Negroes are like seeing on an everyday basis, because they can't be seeing shit that's real, because someone got to say, bro, come on, man, you ain't got to go ahead and do that. Oh, come on, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let her be. And I used to see that, and I used to have to say to my partners, like, bruh, come on, are you serious? Like I can't be around Negroes that don't take care of their children. That's me. I don't rock with y'all like that. I just don't. We don't got nothing to say. You ain't got nothing to tell me if you can't take care of your own. And I think that when we start understanding taking care of our own blessing is not a curse. Let me repeat, taking care of our own blessing ain't a curse, then a lot of this thing is going to change. But if we are hoping and praying some justice system it's gonna save the Negro, oh man, you better shut that shit down. That's all, Queen.
Well, we out of here, Barry. So
just being honest, check us out next Tuesday. Y'all have a Blaze quarantine day and week. We out.